Good morning, good people. Welcome to a beautiful brand new day. This is Living with Us, and I'm your host, Sharon Mundia. We are at Myra Residences by Trianum, which is in Kilimani, and I've got a phenomenal lady with me here today, and we're going to dive into her story. She has been dubbed the mother of theatre in East Africa, and she's here for her debut show, Mrs. Lucy Goes to Kenya. Her name is Lady Toussaint Duchess, but she's better known as Lady T. Yes. Welcome, Lady T.
Thank you so very much. Matter of fact, Asante Sana.
All right. Look at you. How long have you been in Kenya for?
Just about a little over 30 days.
30 days.
Yes.
And this is your first time?
This is my first time in Kenya.
Okay. So what's it been like so far? Any interesting food?
Yes, a lot of interesting things have happened, but I'll tell you off camera.
Okay, what about food? Have you tried chapati?
Yes, I love chapati, by the way. I love chapati. Now, they've given me some goat-type meat that looked like a snake.
Oh, mutura. Okay. Is that mutura?
Yeah, I think it is.
Did you like it?
Goat,
not
it's
really?
okay. It's okay, but I love goat, which you guys call it mbuzi.
Yeah.
I love mbuzi.
Look,
I do.
30
Yes.
days and you've already got like the main things down.
Well, you know, I
Chapati,
tasted in
mbuzi.
Tanzania.
Oh, in Tanzania?
Yes.
Which actually we're going to dive into that because I think your story is really interesting.
Yes,
but before we even dive into your career, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Oh, I was a tomboy growing up. Yes, I was they called me the cutest tomboy because I was a tomboy that will makeup, lipstick, and everything. I played sports. I come from my mother was a single parent. Yes, and so I was just really just like a little tomboy. I was a clown of the class.
Yeah.
I was when I graduated high school is when I realized who I really was, because you know your life story tells your story when people start talking about you. So in my yearbook, everyone in my yearbook pretty much said that I was crazy.
Okay.
I was funny.
Yeah.
I was a life of the party.
Okay.
There was never a dull moment as a little kid growing up. I was a humble person, but I'd fight when I have to. You know, I let them beat me up 2 or 3 times, but then I fight. So I was a really good kid. Grew up in a Kojic church with a single mother. You know, my mother, she loved to party. There's a story I used to always tell. Yeah. She would drop us off for New Year's Eve at church, and then she'll go party, and then she'll come back and pick us up at 1 o'clock.
Oh my God.
So I had an interesting childhood, but a beautiful childhood. My mother instilled, and the neighborhood pretty much raised me and my brother. You know, taught us morals and taught us how the way to Christ and how to love and respect. So I was pretty much a good kid growing up, me and my little brother. Okay. And then like when I turned 17, my mother got married and I got another little sister. So I have a baby sister. She's like 35 now. Okay. So yeah.
Doesn't sound like baby too much, but I imagine to you it's still baby sister.
Yeah, she's my baby sister. Yes.
And you were born in?
Ponchatoula.
In
Louisiana.
Oh, Ponchatoula.
It's I'm from America, but Ponchatoula is like about 20 minutes away from New Orleans. Depends on how fast you're driving.
All right.
Yeah. So New Orleans, pretty much.
Okay, New Orleans. So were you always artistic as a child? I mean, it's clear that you were the life of the party, and you were able to
I realized that. I'll tell you what happened. I was in elementary school. And they have people come in to do shows and stuff. And there was this guy that came and he was hypnotizing people. Okay. You know, and kids, and we were kids at the time. And so the whole class went into the auditorium, and he called kids up. If you want to be hypnotized, come up to the stage, and you're going to turn to an elephant and a dog and a cat. You're going to fly.
Like seriously? This is serious.
That's what's serious in school there.
Okay.
So I'm always like the daredevil. I'm the first to raise my hand. I always sit in the front, not because I'm smart, because I just wanted to be funny and be seen. Okay. And so I was always the first. I went up on stage, me and some other kids, and the guy had about 10 kids. This when I realized I'm an actress at a young age. Okay. He tapped one little girl and said, "You're a dog." Yeah. And she just did not move. Yeah. And he tapped another little kid, "You're a cat." She didn't move. And he got to me and he said, "You're a rabbit." And I just started jumping.
I'll show
I
you,
jumped
rabbit.
all
Yeah.
around the stage, and then he said you was a bird, and I started flying, and everybody in the audience thought I was a rabbit and a bird, but I was faking.
Yeah.
And so people was really believing that I was hypnotized, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I never told the kids, even in school after, because they was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "I don't remember anything."
Wait. So, but I'm
It
sure by
wasn't
now
true.
they know.
Well, I never told when I was a little kid growing up. No, because I felt honored that they believed that I was a rabbit, that I was
Right.
flying, and then I made the instructor made his story true because he was saying that can hypnotize you and he can make you fall asleep, and so he said in 3 you're gonna be asleep. 1, 2, 3. I was knocked out. In 3 you wake up. Now you're back to yourself. That's not real life.
You should thank it. You should go back and be like, excuse
Yeah, I
me, sir.
can't find him. I can't even find any footage of that.
Oh, that would have
And
been
yes,
hilarious
that's
to insert here to just get a glimpse of how your acting
yes,
career
with
started.
that. And then another true story about my acting career. My mother was a single mother, and she was in an abusive relationship. And so one day, my stepdad, he wasn't married, he hit her. And he left out the door. And so when he hit her, she hit the floor, so she was out cold. And I'm like, Mom. And so when he left out the door, she just popped back up. And she peeped out the window and she pretend that she was knocked out. Another time she did it in the kitchen, and they was fighting, and she fainted in the kitchen, and I ran to her and I started crying, and she peeped at me. She was like, girl, go back to your room, I'm okay.
You're kidding.
Yes, and that's where I really get my natural acting from.
I feel like it's your mom I want to have here. That's who I
Yes,
want to
and
like,
I tell the story all the
yeah.
time, and she just tickled. Yes,
That's so interesting. I mean, I know you're talking about it quite lightly, but did that have any kind of impact in your career in the path? Like,
it didn't have any impact on me as a person, because what it showed me when my mother was going through those things, she was a fighter. She was a fighter, and she knew how to defend herself. A fighter means she didn't have to fight back. She just kind of relaxed and give up. She'll hit the floor and pretend. Those are ways where she protected herself. And then when he would leave, she'll pop up and everything would be fine, you know. But she was smart enough to get out of the relationship. And when I was 16 years old, she finally married an amazing man where there's no fighting, no abuse, and anything. We just sit around the house and we just talk about the past now. Yeah.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
So you leave high school. Is that when you started your modeling career? Because at some point.
No, actually, I was 17 when I graduated high school. I went to college. I went to Southeastern University in Hammond, which is not far from Ponchatoula in New Orleans. And I didn't want to stay in Louisiana. I wanted to move to California. So my family, they take a trip to California every year, like drive. And they were leaving one Saturday. I had bought a new car. I was a sophomore in college. And I made a decision that night to follow my mother to California. They didn't even know. So we are prayer warriors. So before anybody travel, the family all come around and we have prayer, and we see the family off for their trip. And so when my parents knew I was getting in the car, I had one little bag, and I went and sat in the back seat. And my dad was like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to California." "You in college? You just bought a new car." It's a Sunbird. I never forget. Candy apple red, like your shirt, Sunbird. And my mom was like, Sonia is my birth name, so that's what they call me, Sonia. Sonia, where are you going? I said, "Mom, I want to go to California with you." I'm at that time like 18 going on 19. And mothers will never leave their daughter. She may have left my brother and say, "Boy, you handle it," but she saw the stress in my face and she was fearful of just going all the way to California and leaving me. So she talked to my stepdad and said, "Well, let her go. I don't know why, but let her go." When I got to California, I called my job and returned my car, and I was in California for about 30-some years.
And why did you feel so strongly that you wanted to move?
I grew up as, like they call it, green as grass. You know, little girl. I was saved at a young age, where it's the type of salvation where you feel like you're going to hell if you wear pants.
Oh, pants.
Yeah, pants. Yeah. So my family in Mississippi was very, very strict. And so I went off to college, and I felt like I was growing up too fast. I had my first major boyfriend, and I felt like he was pushing me in areas that I really didn't want to go, and I was fearful of the direction I would go if I not followed my mother to California.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I felt like there was an open window, and And the guy that I was dating was much older than me. He was the janitor at the college that I was going to. And so I felt like I don't want to stay here without my parents here.
Right.
And so so that's the reason why I left.
Okay.
And my brother, he's 1 year younger than me. He thought my boyfriend had hit me or beat me up or something, you know. And so he was really, really concerned about what happened. But it was like I had to go to California with my mother. It wasn't really to go to be an actress or anything. It's when I got there, when my mother and them got ready to leave 2 weeks later, I was nowhere to be found.
Where were you?
I was hiding because I didn't want to come back to
What? So had you decided?
Because I had fell in love with California. I had relatives there. And I asked my auntie, I said, Lorraine, please let me stay. I was only 19, like 19 going on 20 at the time. And I felt like California was just a different place to be, you know. And so, yeah.
So is that when you started to pursue modeling, or at which point?
Actually, I started doing modeling casts. I got me a job with this company called Gumps. And Gumps sold items to like soap opera television networks and stuff. And people like Bill Duke and celebrities would come to this store to buy items for their homes, and producers would come buy items for their sitcoms. And I was like, hey, I think I want to be a model. So I started modeling. And I started modeling for like John Roberts Powers Modeling School. And also, you know, you go to the doctor, you see all the medical magazines, the back magazines, and how to take care of baby. I did a pregnancy, so I was starring in those type of magazines. And then the photographer would tell me, you are so beautiful, you should try theater. And so you're very animated behind the camera, you should try acting. So that's how I got into acting. And then I did that in San Francisco, and when I was doing that, they said, well, you should go to California and pursue you should go to Los Angeles because you get better jobs in Los Angeles. So I said, okay. By that time, I was a single parent. I had my baby with a drug dealer, by the way. Yeah, have a testimony.
What?
Yes. I could preach my service. I could preach.
No, and that's what I want. That's what I want us to like dive into. So how old were you when you
I was 21 when I had him, but being from the country, see, where I was born and raised is the country. We're all good girls. Yeah. Pretty much. Like all of my friends we were good girls. Okay. And so when I moved to California, California had so much it was so much going on. Right. I couldn't keep up. Yeah. And so I met a guy that looked like he had it all together. Had a beautiful vehicle, had everything. And back then it was 1985, 86 when they used to have those big beepers in America. They called beepers, like you can call some pager. Yes. And his pager constantly went off. Constantly went off. And he was like, I'm a painter, so my manager is calling me, so I got to go paint. Oh God. And he was selling drugs. He was selling the worst kind of drug, crack cocaine.
And you had no idea?
I had no idea. I just knew I had all this pretty jewelry. By then I had a condominium, a Cadillac, cell phone, yes. So I had a cousin that did drugs, and she got mad at him one day, and she called me and said, you so dumb. You green as grass. You need to go back to America. You need to go back to Louisiana. You run around here. You pregnant for a drug dealer.
Oh my goodness. And this was when also you were now trying to pursue acting
at the same
and like theater. And
yes, but when I got pregnant with my child, I knew I didn't come. This is not how I was raised. This is not the representation that I want to reveal for my family. And so I told him, you know, at 8 months, I said, this is not what I want to do. This is not my life. I have a baby coming into this world, and I just want to be a perfect mother, you know. And so he decided, he's like, no, you know, I was doing this before I met you. It's what pays the bills, and he chose drugs over me and my son. And we had some domestic violence going on, you know, and I did some of my mother tricks. Pretend I was out, and then he'd leave, I get up. Yeah, you know, to protect the baby. Right, And so I had my child, and I was convinced that he had changed his life. I went back to him when my baby was born, left the hospital. In 2 months, it didn't work out. In 2 months, I feared for my son's life, and we left. So I left that industry or that lifestyle when my son was 2 months old.
Wow, and
never looked back.
Ooh, Lady T, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll dive deeper into how she became the mother of theatre in East Africa. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We're at Myra Residences by Trianum, and we've been getting to hear Lady T's testimony, who has been dubbed the mother of theatre in East Africa. She has nearly 30 years of experience in the entertainment industry. And before the break, I mean, we hadn't even really gotten into how your career in acting and theatre started, but you were, you know, so openly and graciously sharing your story. And actually during the break, I was asking, like, to me it's so fascinating to see see you share your story with such ease.
Yeah.
And you were saying something so beautiful about it. Can you explain?
Peace.
Yeah.
It's the peace that you have, you know, because when you're going through the process, sometimes it's really hard to talk about it. You get emotional and you cry. But what I realize is that God put us through trials and tribulations, and sometimes it's not for us. It's for that next person that wants to give up. It's for that next person that say, I can't survive by myself, going through a bad relationship, a single parent, you know. But my testimony is because I want those young women, or people even my age, to realize that there's life after pain.
Yeah.
You know, there's purpose. Pain brings purpose.
Yeah.
You know.
And what's interesting too is that none of these things that you went through, they weren't definitive moments for you. They didn't define your path. And you sort of just said, well, I can't even imagine at 2 months with your son, leaving an abusive relationship and deciding I'm still going to do this on my own.
Yeah. And I'll tell you an interesting story how I was able to leave, because sometimes the Bible says the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous.
Okay.
Meaning the wicked brings money. But in that moment, because of what I was taught, I said, okay, all of this money, that's wicked money, I'm gonna hide it for myself, for the life, for my new place. So my baby daddy, he came in with all this money. He used to have me count it all, and I would stash like $200 and $300, and I'll put it in my closet. I'll put it in my shoe. I'll put it in a purse. I'll put it in anywhere I had a pocket, because I knew I was leaving. And in 2 months, I had the delivery truck and stuff to come and get all my stuff. And all I said was get everything out the closet, because the closet was full of money. And when he brought all of my stuff over, I had about $7,000.
Whoa! In 2 months.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's how heavy of drugs that he was. Yeah, it was. And it put my son's life in danger, put our life in danger. But I only dealt with it 2 months, though. Yeah. After 2 months, he was gone, and I vowed not to ever mention it to my son. Yeah. And I told him not to ever have this conversation with my son until he was 15 years old. Okay. Until he was able to understand. My son and his dad, by the way, have a great relationship. And he and his dad talk about this all the time. We laugh about it. His conversation with his son, and my son is 32 now, by the way, and he talked about this with his son. He said, man, this is the worst mistake I've ever made, you know, to choose drugs over you and your mom. But we're good now. Right. We're good.
So at some point you get into Margie, is that how you pronounce it? Margie Haber Studios, which is a really prestigious school. I mean, people like Halle Berry and Brad Pitt have come out of it.
Well, Halle Berry and I, we shared the same manager. Vincent Siercione. Okay. We shared the same manager, and he put me in that school, paid for it and everything. And so I was in LA at the time. LA is a very, very, very dark place. And I don't speak.
Dark place?
Dark place, meaning very sinful, very, what you call it, casting couch. Okay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the casting couch here. Casting couch is in LA, so many celebrities that you see or that you want to be like, or the young people want to be like, they live on the casting couch. Meaning, if a casting director want a role for you, you have to sleep with them. You have to belittle your character, who you are, in order to get the role. And so many women has done that. So when I talk about my manager was Vincent Siercione in Halle Berry, he's one of the guys that has been arrested for, not molesting, but luring women into his office. And I was one of them that he tried. Halle Berry has released him. Taraji P. Henson has released him. Yes, it's a lot of that going on in Hollywood.
I mean, yeah, and of course we've seen a lot of what's come up with Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, yes. And when that came up, when all that come up, Vincent Seracion, he's threw it in the towel. He just let his company go. It's all on Google and everything. And this is my testimony. I could have been one of those that laid down with him and got a role and would be rich and famous right now. But I refused to sell my soul to the devil.
And what did that mean for your acting career? And
well, you know, God has a way of protecting His children, and I knew I am one of His children. So I had just moved to LA, and I didn't like the experience. I was telling everybody, I'm so excited. I just signed this contract with Vincent Seracion, and now he's my manager. Me and Halle Berry sharing the same manager. But then when I had that experience with him, he invited me to a place that was out of order. I let him go. I walked into his office. He had not gotten me one job. I walked into his office and I got my resumes and I told him, "You're fired." And he didn't give me no work. So I walked out. That's the faith I had in God. About a month later, in my little apartment with my son, I was a single mother, a friend of mine said, "You know, there's an audition down the street, and I want you to go to this audition." And I said, "Okay, cool." I went to the audition. It was a little raggedy church, and we had to go through the back of the church. And I got this little bitty part in this play. And I went home and I told Mom, I said, "Mom, my mother was in Louisiana at the time. I said, I got this part in this play. It's a small part, but I'm so glad I'm in this play. And now we're going on tour." And they say the producer and director, his name is something like Bishop T.D. Jakes. That's how I got my little bit.
What was your mom's reaction?
Oh, my mother knew him.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. You won't go on tour with Bishop G.G.J. Jakes." She could never say his name.
G.G. Jakes.
I said, "Mama, you know." I said, "Ma, you know this man?" She was like, "Yeah, that's that big black man. He preached." Yeah. So that next morning, because she knew Bishop T.D. Jakes, because it was in 1998. Bishop was just really coming out then, but down south, they knew him.
Yeah.
And so my mother went that next morning to her church and fast at 5 a.m. that morning. "Okay, I'm going to pray that you get this job. I'm going to pray that you got." I said, "Mom, I already got it. This is a little bitty part." She said, "Okay, well, you need to act right now, because that's the bishop, that's the man of God," and blah, blah, blah. And I had 1 foot here, 1 foot there. I wasn't all the way saved. I was still doing my little thing, whatever. And I'm just like, I just want to be in the play.
Yeah.
So I got my little part, and we toured for like 3 months. Bishop didn't live in L.A. He hired producers and director in L.A. and sent the script. Because A Woman Without Loose was his Bible study, and then he went to a conference and a book, and then he also made it a play. But he didn't like the producers. He didn't like the story. And we toured for 3 months, and he shut it down. He said, "I didn't like it," and he released everybody from the show. And he said, "You know, we'll come back to you when we get a new script." A year passed, and I'm still in LA, and I'm still holding my own because I'm a child of God, and I refuse. You know, you don't get certain roles because you don't. One thing Vincent Seracion told me, he said, in order to get something in Hollywood, you got to give something. Those was his exact words. And I was like, well, I can't give my gift and my talent and my personality and my character of who I am. Why you want my body? That's not, you know what I'm saying? So he told me those exact words, and I was still, you know, trying to get great work in this dark cloud. You know, and so a year later, I got a call from Bishop T.D. Jakes' attorney and said, "Hey, everybody's in the show. You're not in the show anymore, but you have the opportunity to re-audition. So if you want to re-audition, Sarita Jakes, which is his wife, First Lady Jakes, and the new writer and the new producer and the new director is coming to L.A. to audition at this big fancy hotel." So I got the script. Now my little bitty role was a huge role. It was like the star of the show.
Lead, yeah.
And it had 5 songs in it, and I can't sing a lick.
Yeah.
So that was my challenge.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now, why are they going to write? They know I can't sing. They're going to put all these songs in the show. So I believe God anyway. And I went down for the audition. I did my comedy part really good. I did my dramatic part really good. And then the director said, "So can you sing?" And I was like, oh. The devil's like, "You better lie, because if you can't sing, you're not going nowhere on this tour."
Yeah.
And so, so I told the director that I couldn't sing. And so the director looked at me. He's like, "You know, I talked to Bishop T.D. Jakes and First Lady Jakes, and they say I wrote too many songs So I'm taking all of your songs out. And you now can keep your role, and now you're the star of the show.
Oh my
and the man that told me that was 29-year-old Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry, ladies. I was waiting for you to say that. I was waiting for you to drop his name.
Yes.
Tyler Perry.
Yes, that's when I first met Tyler Perry.
And how was that? Would you say that this was a pivotal?
We didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't. He was like just Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Now he's Mr. Perry now.
Yeah.
But at the time, he was, he was pursuing his career too. He did a lot of little plays in down south, and then he met Bishop T.D. Jakes, and Bishop liked some of his plays he was doing, and said, "Hey, I have this play. It was not good, but can you take it and redo it?" And he was like, "Yes." Tyler Perry told me, he said, "When I saw the original play, and you had this very small role, but you were so great in that very small role. So I wanted to see more of you." And those were his words. I wanted to see more of you. And so he wrote me the star of the show, and he removed all the songs.
Wow. Would you say that this was a seminal moment for your career? That this
Yes.
was a turning point?
Oh, it was a turning point.
Okay.
It's not just for my career, it was a turning point spiritually in my life.
Okay.
For someone that's vulnerable in Hollywood, pursuing her career at the time, and want to be in a show. But then God allowed me not to only be in a show, but a part of a ministry that toured. And that's where my drive for theater came in at.
Okay.
And that's my drive to make sure that theater is clean content, that it's good, and I call it my ministry on stage.
Okay.
Because that's what Bishop T.D. Jakes called it when we was touring. We're all individual ministers when we're playing a part in a show, especially when it's a gospel show or it's a family-oriented show, because somebody's watching you. Even though my role, she was a promiscuous girl, and she was street smart, but then she gets salvation. There's someone that always going to come in your life to try to gear you in the right direction. And that role in the play was a character called Miss Ida, and it was played by a gospel singer named Beverly Crawford. And she ministered to the character, and the character pretty much changed her life at the end.
Would you say that this art form, theater, has been therapeutic for you, given all the things that you did? And I mean, even hearing you talking about it as a ministry, is it a cathartic?
It's very therapeutic.
Okay.
And to fast forward, Bishop T.D. Jakes and Tyler Perry gave me my first break. So after that play, I was like, I'm just sticking to theater because it's real. It's instant gratification. The audience can relate to the roles and the character instantly. Yeah. And so when I was going through years later, Bishop T.D. Jakes, he facilitated my wedding. Yes, and so I got married in 2012. Yeah, married an amazing man in 2012. But then we had some financial difficulties that caused him to snap some kind of way. And then 3 years later, he just disappeared. And I was hurt. Bishop T.D. Jakes was hurt. My intimate family, my circle was hurt. Yeah. And I was just devastated because I was 47 when I got married. It was my first marriage. Wow. And I had walked 10 years of celibacy for my husband. 10 years. I started walking in 2000, the millennium, at midnight. I said, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my career, get my life together, and God's going to send me an amazing husband. I've been up under the ministry of Bishop T.D. Jakes all 10 years. And when I finally met him, the one thing he had asked Bishop about me and say, what is it about this lady that you know? And Bishop told him, I'll tell you one thing about my daughter. She is a ride or die chick, and she's not going to leave you. She's not giving up. First Lady told him, I'm a daughter that takes things to heart. That was very important to me, what they felt about me. Yeah. But when my husband left, I was very devastated, and I was very broken, I was very hurt. Yeah. And a friend in Tanzania heard about what I was going through, and she reached out to me and said, hey, why don't you come to Africa?
First of all, that was such an African response right there.
I have never been outside my country. You talking about?
No.
I've never been outside of America.
At that point, you were 50 or 47?
At 50.
At 50.
I got married at 47. I was 50 when my husband left. And I was 50 when I came to Tanzania. I was 50 when I hit rock bottom. When my husband left, I lost everything. I got on a flight to Tanzania with $40 in my pocket. You
know what? We're going to have to take a break now. But trust me, you want to hear the rest of this story. $40 in your pocket. Yeah. Lady T, a child of God, really, really. Yeah. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. We've been getting into Lady T's story, which is I mean, out of this. It sounds, your story should be, oh, you should do a Broadway show on your story.
Girl, I am.
Oh.
Yes.
No, I thought I was like light bulb, I figured,
yes,
but like, no, but this is.
The Toussaint Duchess story. Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. But right now, what you have actually is Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa, which we're about to dive into. It's a Broadway show, her first one in Kenya.
Yes.
But before the break, you were saying you were 50, your husband had just disappeared, hit rock bottom, and your friend says to you, you need to come to Tanzania.
No, she said come to Africa.
Oh, come to Africa.
Yes.
Okay, come to Africa. And with $40 in your pocket, you decide to come to go to Tanzania.
She paid for it round trip and opened her home up and everything. Okay. And that $40 stayed in my pocket for about 3 weeks, the whole while I was in Tanzania. Wow. They treated me so wonderful. Yeah. And
so what were you doing? Those 4 weeks that you were in Tanzania?
It was called a sabbatical, Sonia's sabbatical. Like I say, my birth name was Sonia. Okay. I inherited Toussaint, the name Toussaint, when my mother got married at 17. I took my stepdad's name. Okay. So it was called the Sonia sabbatical, and it was supposed to be for 30 days. So the 15th day, she stayed in this huge compound, and basically I just walked the compound. I ran, I exercised, I ate fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, and ate real healthy. And so I started feeling good inside and out, reading my word, just feeling my spirit. Yeah. And so once, because I was getting ready to go back to America that last week, and I said, well, let me go check out a play or something that I'm familiar with, because like what you said earlier, plays are therapeutic for me, because you go and you experience other people's characters, and so get you out of your own mess. And so I couldn't find a play nowhere, and nobody was excited but me about doing plays. And so I say, wow, I have 1 week here. I said, let me see if I could put a play up, because if I could put a play up, I'm staying longer. And so I got Azam TV, Pizza Hut, Subway, a lot of people to sponsor a show.
In 1 week?
In 1 week, I got everybody to sponsor a show. So I end up extending my stay for like 8 more months. Yes, I stayed. It was supposed to be for a month, but I stayed 8 months in Tanzania, because I had people that believed in what I was bringing to Tanzania. And so that's when I created the character Mrs. Lucy, the play Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa. And Mrs. Lucy, basically Lady T's experience in Africa, you know, being American, we're not, there's a lot of things that we don't know about Africa that allow us to be fearful of coming to Africa because of what they show on television. And so it's her experience. Like one of the in the play is an experience. I went to a Catholic church, and I had to use a restroom, a toilet, washroom, what you guys call it. And so I asked the lady, you know, where's the restroom toilet? And she told me, she pointed, it's out there. So I went out back to use the toilet, and I opened, well, there was no door, and so I went in, and the toilet was in the ground.
The pit latrine.
The who?
It's called a pit latrine. Like it's like a hole in the ground.
It's the hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I stood there for the longest, like, what? How do I do this? I mean, first I thought, I mean, this is crazy. I thought, because it was a toilet seat that's in the ground. It looks like the toilet seat. Oh, so I thought some kind of way the toilet had
fallen into the ground.
So I'm looking, I'm like, this not making any sense. And I said, okay, am I supposed to squat? So I didn't think I was supposed to squat because they didn't have handles on the wall. So I figured
squatting with support. Okay.
I figured like, okay, so if I got to squat, I need something to hold on to.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, you're not supposed to squat because they would have something for me to hold on to, but I couldn't do it. And so I went back. I had to hold.
Did you ask for help? Did you go in and like?
No.
So have you ever used a pit latrine? Or still
I've
no?
learned
still,
how. I don't use.
Okay.
No, I don't use.
Okay. I can only imagine. So is this something that's in the?
It's in the script. Now it's in the script.
Okay.
So my character, the
Mrs.
person I
Lucy.
went to church with, she was in the choir.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go up there and ask her how to use the toilet. So I just held it until after church, and I was like, come here.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I need to use the toilet, but the one in the one that lady took me to is broke. It's like down.
Oh my goodness.
So she told me, she said, no, those are the toilets that we use. I was like, are you serious?
I mean,
so
I can
she
only
literally
imagine.
had to go in there and show me how to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I can only imagine what that's like in the
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Welcome to some bits of Africa.
Yes,
Like it's a little bit.
but I realize now that y'all do have regular toilets.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you have a
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
Know? So sometimes when I go to restaurants, I open the door slowly and go.
Well, that's gonna happen. No, yeah. But now, by now you know.
But now I know.
Okay.
You know, I know how to do it. I know how to squat.
Okay.
You know,
and all is well.
And all is well.
Yeah.
I know. I learned to take my own toilet tissue in my own bag and my purse and stuff. So so in Tanzania, I decided now I wanted to do shows. I got sponsors and I promoted my first play, which was Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa, and it was a success. And I realized that so many young people, they have a heart and a passion for entertainment, and they didn't have the avenue, they didn't have stage, you know. And so I brought along some proteges with me from Tanzania, because there was two guys that wanted to sing, wanted to rap, wanted to act, wanted to model, and they've never been paid for it. And what I've done is given them more hope. You know, they actually received their first paycheck when they got the job, and they came and showed me this and showed me how much they appreciate it. You know, and they say, "Mom, this is my first check for what I do." You know, one of them is a worship leader and a gospel singer, and I brought them here. They're shadowing me for production and stage and learning the behind the scenes of the show. And so it was a success in 2016.
In Tanzania.
In Tanzania.
Yeah.
Then I went back home. I went through my divorce, and in 2018, I came back. A gentleman here, actually, Steve from Trace Music. I worked with him in Tanzania. And I reached out to him. I said, you know, I have this play. I really want to bring it to Kenya, because I understand there's a community for theater in Kenya. This was last year. He said, well, you know, I'm really busy now, but I am actually working with Zanzibar International Film Festival, which is ZIF in Zanzibar on an island. He said, so let me talk to the film director, because maybe you can bring Broadway to ZIF. And he called me back within like 24 hours and said, come on back to Africa, because we really want Broadway at ZIF.
Okay.
And so I got my proteges and recast the show with some new people, and we went to Zanzibar International Film Festival. And then after Zanzibar, I said, let's not make this just about a play. Because I was labeled at that time, when I did Zanzibar International Film Festival, the mother of theater in East Africa. I said, East Africa. I searched it, and I figure out what's going on in East Africa. Plays are not relevant. They're not touring. They're not doing Broadway. And what we do, we tour these plays to keep the artists working, to keep the proteges that I'm training, to keep them working, to keep money in their pocket so they could take care of their families. So I said, why don't I just start promoting and producing and have a vision and come up with something that's stable. So that's when I created the second annual Broadway Extravaganza. So the Broadway Extravaganza is me bringing talent that's willing to come into Africa to help me teach the young people Broadway, dancing, music. And then it's like a 2-week workshop, 3-week workshop, and then the finale would be the event, which is the stage play. And so I did that in Tanzania, and it was a success.
In 2018?
In 2018, it was a success. And so I was connected to someone here, Rachel. She is the CEO of the Youth Film Platform. She has a heart for motivating and helping students and young people. I reached out to her, and she was like, yeah, I would love to be the local promoter here. So it was my local promoter that really believed in what I was doing in Tanzania. And so Rachel Wainaina, I have to pronounce,
Wainaina,
Wainaina, yes. And so she has a youth film, you know, she trained young people in film, you know, and like me, I was dyslexic growing up, so I had to be hands-on with stuff. And that's what she does. She teaches them filmmaking, and these kids are recording films now, you know, and so she's my partner, so I'm partnering with Youth Film Platform here, and so that's how I got here. And since I've been here, it's just the sponsors, the relationship with the people, people that are helping to bring this together. You know, my title sponsor, Coca-Cola, which is an American product, which I'm really, really excited about Coca-Cola being a part. And, you know, Safaricom, KFCB, because it's all clean content. You know, and Dr. Ezekiel, who is CEO of KFCB, he's very adamant about having clean content. So I'm really excited about having great sponsors behind the second annual Broadway extravaganza featuring Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa.
Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa. And I know you might also be touring in
Kenya,
aren't
yes,
you?
we're getting so many calls about the show. We just recently got a call the other day for June 16th. I can't remember where it is, but it's in Kenya. The deputy from Nakuru County, did I say it right?
Yeah, you're doing this
Nakuru
you're
County.
doing really
She
great.
came all the way to Nairobi to meet me.
And
we sat down, and she's bringing myself and the show to Nakuru County in November. Working on also with the CEO and founder of Rwanda Film Festival. Yes, he's interested in having us come to Rwanda Film Festival. So my passion, my vision is coming true because I wanted to take over East Africa because they're doing plays in South Africa. They're doing it in Nigeria. They're doing it in America. It's very popular. But what's going on in East Africa? Broadway extravaganza is here, and we want to help continue to pave the way for young people to continue to act, to go on tour, you know, because it's what we love to do. You know. And
can you tell us about the dates? When is this?
Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa is May 10th, 11th, and 12th. And so we have a pay bill number. So if you guys want to call and purchase tickets, actually the show opens tomorrow night, Friday. The grand opening is Friday. Yes, May 10th, 11th, and 12th. So the pay bill number is 522-722, and the account number is 1253-226148.
What can people expect as we wrap up? What do you think? What can people expect?
It's family oriented. It's family friendly. I mean, expect your actors here in Kenya to be a part of it because the entire show is local actors here, and which includes my two proteges and myself. I play the role of Mrs. Lucy. By the way, so what I do, I go into the country and I teach workshops. Like I brought Daryl Richardson in the first week. The extravaganza opened with Daryl Richardson. Daryl Richardson has danced with Michael Jackson, Tina Turner. She's choreographed for Michael Jackson, Babyface, and she's teaching now in New York. So she came in the first week, and we've had a dancing with Daryl workshop in Kenya. Kenya Film Classification Board actually sponsored that workshop. And so then the second week, the second week was my workshop, which was sponsored by the French Embassy. And so this third workshop, which is going on now, is Elvin Ross. And Elvin Ross is the composer, producer, and filmmaker. He composed all of Tyler Perry's movies, all of Tyler Perry's sitcom. He's been with Tyler Perry since day one. Yes, he started out with Tyler Perry. It was just him and Tyler Perry had an idea, and he's still working with Tyler Perry. So, and I worked with him before. So he is in town now, actually, and he's composing music for Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa. You gotta come and see this ending. Because he really composed a new song. He gave the show flair and flavor. He gave it Broadway. So if you come, just wait for the ending of all through the show. He's composing music and underscoring, but the ending it's the how y'all go it. Some kind of way y'all do it.
That's it.
Yes. The ending, and Daryl Richardson choreographed the opening number. So it's really Broadway's here. Broadway's here, and I look forward to bringing more people in every year.
I love that, and it's real. It's incredible talent, and they're able to pass that on to people and the younger generation who are interested and curious and want to learn and expand.
Yes. And before I leave, I just want to mention the one kid in each workshop. We make sure we bring somebody aboard. Like in Daryl's workshop, she wanted the kids to dance. We were just teaching them. It's so many. It was like over 100 kids, so all of them couldn't be in the show. So she blessed them and chose about 20 kids and told them, okay, you dance really well. You will be performing in the Broadway extravaganza and Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa.
Wow.
Yes. And in my workshop, I put kids in groups and the students in groups and told them, write a story. And at the end of this session, we're going to have you come up and present your story to me. So at the last night of the show, we're going to announce which group win, because we are going to actually produce that entire script and we're going to put it in, make it into a play on next year.
Right.
And with Elvin Ross's workshop, with Daryl's workshop, I also pulled a young man from here, Kenya. His name is Morgan. He's the type of kid, he's here with me today. He's the one taking all the pictures and stuff, and he's very, very smart kid. He seemed to be a leader and take things he's very quick on his feet. And so I pulled another protege. So now I have him aboard with us, just traveling with me. And also Elvin Ross has picked one young man to sing in the show, to play opposite of Maho from Tanzania, to play his brother. So we're bringing in, we're helping kids, and we're making a difference for them, and letting them know that, a lot of people say, you can't make money doing this, but you can. And we need people like yourself, like NTV, who is our media partner, who is amazing, is getting us out there to tell our story, and we really appreciate NTV for that. So we're here for the young people, and we're here for the country. And I'm gonna stay in East Africa for a while until I saturate the market.
Thank you, Lady T, for sharing your story and for being such a big part in trying to continue to inspire young artists to pursue their dreams and their art form. And that theater, the mother of theater, is here, ladies and gentlemen. So you might as well, you better buy a ticket. Find your way over to watch Mrs. Lucy Goes to Africa
at the Catholic University.
At Catholic University. And thank you for sharing
your
story.
You're welcome.
For being so
and the show is, I don't mean to cut you off, but Mother's Day. The show closes on Mother's Day. May 12th. So So
get your tickets.
Get your mom and them down there and bring mom.
Get your mom too.
Yes.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. It's great meeting you. I've been watching you from my hotel.
Yay, thank you. And thank you guys for watching. I hope that you are as inspired as I am just listening to Lady T's story, which again, it's so incredible. I don't think it should only just even be like a Broadway show. I think it should be turned into a movie. Tyler Perry better call you up and be like, okay,
let's believe
Lady
that.
Let's make it. Amen. Let's make it happen. And thank you again to Myra Residences by Trianum for letting us your beautiful space. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.